when you're making a cocktail, you would like a higher proof bourbon because you're going to be diluting it and you're going to be adding things to it. So the higher proof the bourbon, the better it stands up in a cocktail, and you can still actually taste the whiskey. The lower proof stuff gets watered down more.
I think when I've tasted yours in the past, they were all straight, not as a cocktail at all. And it was amazing as is. But obviously, people are going to be using your bourbons in cocktails. So, are there one, two, three suggestions on in great cocktails? I'm sure Bjorn has his own ideas as a bartender. But when you think of it, what are some of your favorite cocktails that you would make with your bourbon?
So this is stuff I learned from Bjorn. So you talk about the journey of owning a bourbon company and his experience in the bar scene. So when you're doing uh bourbon cocktails, and not so much like a Jack and Coke, or even like a whiskey smash, a lot of times those mask the majority of the flavor of the bourbon. So we'll kind of push those aside a bit. Um, but like when you're making a cocktail, you would like a higher proof bourbon because you're going to be diluting it and you're going to be adding things to it. So the higher proof the bourbon, the better it stands up in a cocktail, and you can still actually taste the whiskey. The lower proof stuff gets watered down more, and you lose a lot of the whiskey taste. So that's why everything we have is bottled at 105 proof. We try to get it as close to cask strength as possible. And this is on purpose because when you have a bottle that looks like a cask, we kind of want it to mirror exactly what's in the cask itself. So that's why we do straight Kentucky bourbon. And it's actually also, and I forgot to mention, it's non-chill filtered. And for another, in layman's terms, or to explain what that means, is that there's a chill filtration process where they cool it down, and they filter out what comes off of the whiskey. And what happens after you distill it, there's like a mucus membrane, or like mucusy viscosity that can be on top of all of the whiskey. And so a lot of people chill filter it. So when you get it colder, those things kind of congeal and they're able to filter them out. We don't do that because we like the viscosity and the naturalness of the whiskey. And that's, again, we wanted to mirror exactly what comes out of the barrel. So that's why we don't chill filter. So that was a bit of a tangent, but back to the actual
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Having a high proof and spicy bourbon like ours, with the high rye content, the rye spice, I think stands up well in a Manhattan. That's my favorite bourbon cocktail, bourbon slash rye cocktail, and an old fashioned. I mean, it's not, we're not reinventing the wheel here with what we're doing, but I think that those are two of, like, fastball down the middle, good cocktails that require a good quality, high proof, flavorful bourbon. And the other one that Bjorn kind of pioneered for us is the espresso martini with bourbon. And I probably had one espresso martini maybe ever before. And so we're at the office, and he's kind of tinkering around and kind of come up with some ideas. And he had this thought about, the espresso martinis is complex because of the coffee, but what if we add something else to it to kind of make it more complex? And so instead of using vodka, he subbed in the Hand Barrel Bourbon, and with the sweet mash and the spiciness and with the small batch, you get a lot of butterscotch caramel notes. So it's almost like putting creamer in your coffee with the espresso martini, and it really creates a really tasty cocktail that we know when we go to restaurants and we're pitching for them to carry our product, it's one that we recommend that they take a look at, and many have adopted it.
So people are watching, they're listening. Where can we find more? Where can we find you on social media? Where can we find you online? And more importantly, is where can we buy you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's just Hand Barrel Bourbon, and online www.handbarrel.com. We ship to 37, 38 states, so you can order online.